Live from the 607, it's the Ocho Duro Parlay Hour, where we're talking everything going on in the world of sports. Join in the conversation on social media with the hashtag ODPH, because here we go.
Instead of looking deep inside, every word I have to say, keep it simple.
Welcome to an all-new edition of the ODPH podcast. What is happening, everybody? Thank you so much for joining us this week on our brand new computer.
Yeah.
Where we will not be having any technical difficulties. Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. But I'm your host, Ken M. Joining me in studio, as always, you know him. He's the co-host. He's the statistician to the stars. And so much more. His name is Padawan J.
Well, let me talk to you.
Yeah, and boy,
folks, just remember, adjudicate yourselves at home responsibly.
Exactly. We have a lot to talk about because obviously last week we addressed on social media. We had a little technical difficulties to put it mildly.
Yeah.
So fear not. We're going to catch you up to speed on everything going on in the land of movies, TV, comics, and more tomorrow. But we're going to throw a little inside baseball to you today, too, because we have one segment we definitely have to cover and give it its proper due, along with breaking down the latest going on in the land of sports and pro wrestling, because you are tuned into a fusion edition of the ODPH. And after the show, we want to keep the conversation rolling. So, Pat, where does everybody go?
ODPHpodcast.com.
Right on. Sign up on all the social media accounts. We're definitely talking with everybody, especially on Threads, too. Shout out to all our listeners on Threads right now. That is blowing up, which is amazing to see.
It's good to see.
Yeah, absolutely. So definitely sign up, interact with us on there or your favorite social media outlet. We definitely talk with everybody. Also, check out the TeePublic store. There's always something going on there, so you definitely want to go get some ODPH swag when it's on sale. It's the best time of the year to do it. Also, shout out to all our amazing patrons. One tier, $2 a month, and bonus content is dropped at your fingertips. Boom, or eardrums. I don't know. However it gets to you, it gets to you. But that's what we do here at the Patreon. So shout out to everybody that chooses to support the brand in that manner. Also, while you're at the website, check out the blog section where we have a special bonus review this week.
Hey.
Coming from a good friend of ours that you'll find out on New Comic Book Day. So if you want to find out all about that, tune in and find out on the website. Also, check out the classified section, which has friends of the show such as 3FM Podcast, Dragon Master Games, and many, many more. Also, Pat, how many providers are we on?
668,929.
Like I said, folks, he is the statistician to the stars for a reason. I don't question that. I believe him. We have links to all the major providers of the ODPH on that page as well. So if you want to subscribe, we make it so easy for you to do that. And plus, you can listen to wherever you are on, your phone, your desktop at work, whatever the case is. Boom, we make it that so easy for you as well. Also, we're talking about great listening. Well, you got to check out the music section of the show, which has such bands as Brian Wolf and the Howlers, Shout Out to the Robots, Second Suitor, Tom Joel, Floodlands, and many, many more. Basically, if it's anything and everything that is the ODPH, you can find it at ODPHpodcast.com. And remember on social media to use the hashtag ODPHpod. Well, we flipped the coin before we got on the air because we have a lot to go over. So it's starting with sports today. And let's be honest, the biggest sports story is not the NFL for once.
No, although that'll be next week.
That will definitely be next week, and we'll have a lot to talk about on that show. But right now, the NBA playoffs are in full swing.
Hell yeah.
A lot of storylines going on here. So, Pad, tip us off.
Yeah, so we're going to start in the Western Conference because I'm really going to twist a knife in your gut there. With the number one seeded Oklahoma City Thunder taking on the fifth seeded Dallas Mavericks. We're currently, they are tied 2 games apiece. Game 5 taking place Wednesday night, 9:30 p.m. Eastern on TNT and True TV.
Well, this series has been a very fun one to watch.
Yeah.
And especially for Oklahoma City, who has such a young lineup. To take on Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving, It's a real test to see about where this young team ranks.
Yeah.
Because let's face it, youth will carry you so far, but when you have to face an experienced team in the playoffs, that's usually where you struggle. And we are seeing a little bit of that.
Right. I mean, the first game went to the Oklahoma City Thunder, 117-95. Not totally a surprise, when you look back at the first round with the Oklahoma City Thunder sweeping the New Orleans Pelicans 4-0. The Dallas Mavericks getting taken, I guess you could say, by the LA Clippers to Game 6. So Oklahoma City, a little bit of a layoff. Dallas, not so much. So not totally surprised with game one. You know, the team with slightly more rest coming out on top over the team with not so much rest. Game 2 and 3, though, very interesting because game 2 was won by the Dallas Mavericks 119 to 110. Pulling up the box score for the that game there. A little bit of a couple interesting stat lines there. PJ Washington, 29 points. Good goddamn. What is it? You had Gafford, the center there, with 13 points. Luka himself, 29 off the bench. Tim Hardaway Jr., 17 points there. Jalen Green there off the bench too, 11 points. And not for a lack of a good game from Oklahoma City Thunder, obviously, 110 points. What is it? Holmgren had 11. Williams had 20. SGA had 33. So, but not a whole lot of production from the rest of the crew, though. I mean, there were other two starters there. You had 8 points apiece. And then off the bench, not a whole lot. Like you would have expected more. I mean, you look at the bench, they had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 players come off the bench and get some minutes. Some a lot, you know, like Andrew Wiggins, 20 minutes, or Wallace, who had 22 minutes. Some guy, not even kidding, looking at the box score, you can see the box score, listed as 0 minutes. Not sure how that's possible, but, you know, reasons. But off the bench, your leading scorer off the bench was Wiggins with 9. You had 3 guys of those 6 I counted score nothing.
Yeah.
So not ideal. And then you look at game 3 where you had the Dallas Mavericks win that one 105 to 101. This one was in Dallas. And again, looking at the box score of this one, again, decent game from OKC. Just, again, needed more points from some more folks because SGA, 31 points. Williams had 16. Holmgren had 13. And then off the bench, you had Joe, last name Joe, 13 points. But again, I mean, you look at the other starters, Giddey, 9 points, Dort, 8 points. And then off the bench, Williams, 2 points, Gordon Hayward, none. Andrew Wiggins, 6, Wallace, 3. Like, just Oklahoma City not getting enough production off their bench right now.
No, I think that's the biggest factor in the series, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I think that for everything that's getting asked to Chet Holmgren, who's playing out of his mind right now, even though he took a bad shot in Game 4.
Right.
I know he did not look right after he got fouled in that manner. That was a situation that they're relying a lot on him and SGA. And especially with a young team, they're still, as weird as it might sound for being the number 1 seed, they're still trying to find their groove.
Right. And they got a little bit of a back game for winning 196. You know, you look at the starters, 16 from Holmgren, 14 from Williams, SGA 34, Dort had 17. You know, so decent performance there. But again, bench, yiminy fucking Jesus. Williams, none. You had another. So Williams on top of 1, 2 more others had no points. Wiggins had 6. Wallace had 6. So, but I think the thing that helped them there clearly was the Dallas Mavericks ran into what the Oklahoma City Thunder did the last 2 games. You got a great game from PJ Washington, Jones Jr., and Gafford, and obviously Luka, but everybody else was kind of like stinking up the joint.
Yeah, Kyrie did not have a good game.
9 points on 4 of 11 shooting, 0 for 2 from 3, and 1 for 2 from the line.
Yeah.
Yikes.
So going into this now, it's a tied-up series, and this one, honestly, it's wide open.
I would say so at this point, yeah.
Because I think for Oklahoma City, that youth factor is helping and hurting. And for Dallas, they've been in this position before. They're not supposed to be here technically.
Right. Currently, the line is Oklahoma City by 4.5. And that game is in Oklahoma City.
Right. So that makes sense.
Yep.
So I think for now, Oklahoma City needs to really pull it together. They got to get some more offense off their bench.
They got to get people even trying off their bench.
Well, that's the big question now is I understand you want to let Holmgren and SGA take over, but at the same time,
they can't do it all.
Exactly. Even as youthful as they are, they're going to run out of gas.
The gas tank is going to run out.
And then you need somebody to really step up in this clutch time because, I mean, Dallas, they've been here before. They're weathering the punches. They're going to come back and return fire, so to speak, with a 1-2 combo that they have done very, very well with.
Looking at the looking at the bench, and this is the game from Game 3 where Dallas won 105 to 101. Oklahoma City's bench went 9 of 20 from the field. That is not ideal.
No, definitely not. So it can just be summed up if the bench shows up on Game 5,
Yeah.
OKC will be just fine.
I don't know if they'll be able to, though.
Well, that's going to be the big question mark.
Right.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, it's one that they haven't shown us anything now, but this would be where you need to have a team meeting and really fire up your team. Because if they go down 3-2 here and lose at home,
Sure.
I'm not saying the series is officially a wrap, but I don't like them going into a Game 7 even if it's back at home.
No, because like you said, Game 7 is back in Oklahoma City. I could see Dallas winning on Wednesday in Oklahoma City, but then fumbling the ball Game 7. I can see this, long and the short of it, I can see this going 7.
I could see this
Just because nobody has really established, that sense of dominance. And sure, you can look at Game 1 and go, well, that's clearly dominance, 117-95. Okay, that's a team of however many days rest, going up against a team that's not as rested. That's expected. Asterisk, toss that one in the garbage. The rest of it, though, it's still relatively close. 9 points, 4 points, 4 points. Nobody has really taken a grasp of this series and gone, this is ours for the taking. You're going to have to rip our arms off, metaphorically speaking, to get this away from us.
Yeah. So we'll have to wait to see how this all plays out. Like I say,
Yeah.
I do like OKC in Game 5.
Yeah.
But if they don't do it, I don't like them winning a best of 7. I really don't.
I think it's going to be. I think it's going to go 7, and I think it's going to be Dallas.
Yeah, see, I think that for them to win, they need this done in 6.
Right.
I don't like them in a Game 7. I'm just putting that out there.
Then the other matchup we got in the West is the number 3 seeded Minnesota Timberwolves taking on the number 2 seeded Denver Nuggets, and shockingly to everyone, unless you're in the Minnesota area, maybe, is the series is tied 2 games apiece, with Game 5 taking place tonight as we record at 10:30 p.m. Eastern on TNT/True TV.
Well, this is an interesting situation because the road team has won every game so far.
This is true.
So how will this all play out? I think Denver's experience is now catching up. That I think is great, and I definitely mean this word, great. Anthony Edwards has played
Oh yeah,
for Minnesota. I just think that it's just now becoming, okay, he needs somebody else to consistently step up and help. And it's not that they've looked bad, except Game 3 they looked bad.
yeah.
Game 3 was real bad.
Game 3, Minnesota lost 117-90.
Yeah. They've been in every game thus far, but this is where you're seeing step up and really get his team going. And it's kind of odd because for being the MVP and being very, very nonchalant with his demeanor,
Yeah,
I guess to put it mildly,
yeah.
you're seeing him just quietly take over and quietly get his team ready to go here.
Currently averaging Jokic as 26.8 points per game, 11.3 rebounds a game, and 8.3 assists a game.
Yeah. So,
Which I think, if memory serves, we saw this last year where Denver went down 0-2, and then all of a sudden we're like, oh, right, we're the Denver Nuggets. We're really fucking good, and rallied and ended up taking the series.
well, the thing about them is they're so talented. And the only thing hurting them would be injuries. And Jamal Murray is currently listed day-to-day.
Right.
But KCP, Michael Porter, and Aaron Gordon have been playing solid. So it's just a matter of, I think that they might have gotten, a little overconfident going
Right.
against Minnesota,
Right.
and they paid for it with 2 losses. For Minnesota, they need to rebound and rebound quickly. If they don't do that, I mean, Denver is showing why that they are the defending world champs.
Yep.
And to see them really weather this storm, because let's face it, after Game 2, we were all anointing the Minnesota Timberwolves were going to the Western Conference Finals.
Right.
I don't think there was any question of that.
No.
But we are now seeing that Denver is saying, well, if you want to defeat us, you really got to bring your A game every night. They obviously didn't do a Game 3.
Yep.
Game 4, not the best performance, but better. But it now comes down to a pivotal Game 5 again. And this is where you're going to need Karl Anthony Towns to step up. You're going to need Jaden McDaniels to really step up. Rudy Gobert, you know what you're getting.
Sure.
So I would say if you're expecting him for an offensive flurry, no. But he really needs to shut down Jokic and make somebody else beat him.
Yeah.
If they don't do that, it's going to be a very quick series. They might get swept in 4 here.
You know who needs credit for both of these teams, and I discovered this the other day listening to some talk radio. Tim Connolly. the NBA executive.
Yeah.
Dude was named the executive vice president of basketball operations and the general manager of the Denver Nuggets in June of 2013 and was there up through the 2021 season. So he was there for a lot of those guys getting drafted and picked and traded for in Denver, including Jokic. He was there for the Aaron Gordon, JaVale McGee trade. And then he left after the 2021 season and was hired by the Minnesota Timberwolves to be the president of basketball operations. So he wasn't there for the title in Denver, but Christ almighty, he did 95% of the work.
Yeah, he built it.
And now he's got this team in Minnesota that is really fucking good. And I think if they don't win it this year, they're going to win it in the next 5 years, give or take.
As long as they keep everybody together.
Exactly. But Tim Connolly needs a lot of credit.
Oh, absolutely. No, he's a brilliant mind when it comes to basketball. So, yeah, this is going to be a situation where I think this will be a learning experience for Minnesota.
Yeah.
I don't think they pull off Game 5. I'd love to see it because I love Anthony Edwards' energy about this.
Sure.
But he's going to need everybody to really step it up for this game.
Game 5 is, like I said, tonight as we record in Denver.
Yeah. So with Denver having a lot of momentum on their side, the place is going to be rocking.
Unless Denver has like a really off shooting night and they can't hit the ocean standing on a dock.
Well, that's going to be a question that we're going to see because now that they're back in it, are they overconfident about taking the series back? I mean, that's something.
Yeah.
It's a legit question.
Yeah, no, it is.
But this is where I'm going to say who wants this series more.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think Anthony Edwards wants this worse than anybody on the court.
Yeah, he does.
But he needs somebody to step up with him.
Uh-huh.
So I will say I do like Denver in this.
I do too.
Even though I am rooting for Minnesota. Sorry, Brian Wayne. I know I'm going to get an angry DM about this. It's nothing against them. I just love how Minnesota plays, and especially Edwards, that I'd like to see him. But I think this is like we talked about in the preview for the playoffs. Like, this is Denver's series to lose.
I picked Denver to win the whole thing. I'm sticking with that. I got to admit, I wavered a little bit. I fluctuated a little bit after last week's show where Minnesota was up 2-0, and I'm like, ooh. But much like the Cody Crybabies did for WrestleMania 40, I myself was one of those. I did not waver. I did not bend. I did not break. I stuck with wanting to see Cody Rhodes in the main event of WrestleMania. I'm sticking to see the Denver Nuggets in the main event of the NBA Finals.
Let's talk about it.
Yeah, so then we got the Eastern Conference, and again, I'm really twisting the knife and making you wait on this.
That's fine.
In the Eastern Conference, we got the number 1 seeded Boston Celtics taking on the 4 seeded Cleveland Cavaliers. Currently, Boston is up 3-1 with Game 5 taking place on Wednesday at 7 o'clock Eastern on TNT/True TV.
Well, I'm going to give you early, in the words of Paul Heyman, this isn't a prediction, this is a spoiler. Donovan Mitchell is out for this game.
Yeah, he was out. I know he was out for the one last night. He's out for the next one too.
I believe he is out.
Yikes!
So
I know he missed the last game.
So I know you're going to check that up, but I'm going to say this: if he's not in that lineup, this game's done.
Right,
it's done. It's to take nothing away from Cleveland because Cleveland has played very well in this series, except for Game 1. Game 1, I thought they looked bad. Game 2, they won. Game 3 was not the worst loss per se, and I thought they really rallied in Game 4. But it goes back to what we've talked about many times when we've mentioned Boston. It's now or never.
Right.
And I think that they have finally bought into that, and they're really making sure that we're going to get to the finals and then we're going to win this thing. Going 64-18 this season.
Right.
They're built for now. And I think no matter how good Cleveland has been, and Cleveland has been a great team, they're not on that level. I'm sorry to say this. I have a very soft spot for Cleveland. They're just not on the same plateau as Boston. And even if Donovan Mitchell was 100%, I still think that this is a formality. I think that you have right now a Boston Celtics team that's clicking. They're getting great at the right time. Drew Holiday has fully become a member of that team. Jason Tatum is the superstar that we've been waiting to see.
Right.
Obviously, he's been great, but we need him to have that premier dominant playoff run. We are getting that to a degree, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But it all really depends on what he does in the finals because we know when he's gotten into the later rounds, he's struggled. I think this one is a no-brainer, though. I'm going to say right now.
And I looked it up. It is sounding like he is uncertain, and it's real iffy if he's going to play for Game 5.
Yeah, so I think he's done.
Could be.
And I think, unfortunately, so is
I
Cleveland.
think knowing him, he's going to try his damnedest to get on the court, and I think he's going to. I don't think he's going to miss the game. I think he's going to try and play, but it's ultimately going to be too much, and just whatever he's got going on with his knee. Because article I'm looking at on NBA.com says he's been dealing with a left knee injury since the All-Star break.
Yeah,
and it got hurt in the closing minutes of the loss on Saturday in Game 3. So the article then says, quote, he spent the past 2 days, and this article's from today, so he spent the past 2 days receiving round-the-clock treatment on his calf, but couldn't go.
Yeah.
Close quote. So that, I'm no medical doctor, I'm no medical expert, so don't ever come to me for medical advice, but just reading that and my interpretation of it is if he got round-the-clock treatment on his calf, which has been bothering him since about the All-Star break,
yeah,
and he still couldn't go, there's no amount of cryotherapy or massage therapy or anything else that can help him. He's like I said, to me, he's a gamer. He's a baller. He's going to try and go. He's never going to rule himself out and take himself out like Ben Simmons, but I don't think he's going to be able to go.
Yeah, no, I think unfortunately I think it's smart for him to shut down. If he's been this hurt since the All-Star game.
Don't risk your future in next season for this.
Exactly, because chances are he's not going to be in Cleveland much longer.
That is true.
So I'm not saying he's going to mail it in on the team, but I think that he ultimately has to take a look at his future with this.
Yeah.
And if that knee is not 100%, then why risk it? Because honestly, I think even if it was 100%, I don't think it would be a game changer here. I think this is all Boston, and I think they're going to get a nice, healthy amount of rest. Because the next series we're going to talk about, I know you've been waiting on it, and I have a lot of thoughts on this one. So
the last series we're mentioning, and we're not doing it because we're New Yorkers. I'm just doing it to really twist the knife in Ken's ribcage. That is the New York Knicks, who are the 2 seed, taking on the Indiana Pacers, who are the 6 seed. Currently, the series is tied 2 games apiece, with Game 5 taking place tonight as we record, 8 o'clock Eastern on TNT and True TV.
Well, I hate saying this, but I think, unfortunately, this has been a series that has been really haunted by bad officiating on both sides.
Couple series, you could say that, but yes.
But I'm going to say this series, especially in all the games thus far, with the exception of 4. Okay. I'm going to say games 1, 2, and 3.
There's too big much of an ass whooping for 4 to have any bad officiating.
Yeah, there's nothing there.
Everybody on that game was on cruise control.
Yeah. It has been a game that, in my opinion, and this is all my opinion too.
Sure.
I think the refs have taken the game away from both teams.
Yeah.
I just think that there's been so many egregious calls that it's not playing favoritism. It's literally...
They just suck.
They're just making ill-timed calls when there shouldn't be calls.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree with you there.
And that's where I'm going with this. I'm not saying anything's fixed or anything. I'm not. I really don't.
No, but I think when you look at pundits and talking heads like a Stephen A. Smith, who, for those of you who don't watch First Take, just for one reason or another, he is an unapologetic Knicks fan.
Yeah.
Say what you will about his fandom, whether he's a bandwagon fan or he's a diehard.
Oh, he's been a diehard.
Yeah. But when you've got him on national television, the number 1 rated morning sports talk show in the country the last whatever months in a row, they said, when even Stephen A., who's, every time the Knicks win, gets on there the next day singing Orange and Blue Skies and Go New York, Go New York, Go. When you've got him sitting there going, no, even I don't agree with this officiating. I don't agree with this call. I don't agree with the way this went down, is really saying something.
Yeah. That's what I mean. They've just been making bad calls left and right.
Yeah.
Like I say, it's not favoring one team or another. Mm-hmm. It's just been bad officiating.
Right.
And that, unfortunately, is what we're seeing here, especially Game 1 and Game 2, it went the Knicks' way.
Right.
Game 3, it definitely went Indiana's way.
In between the two, the Indiana Pacers submitted 78 plays to the NBA offices, but that's common. Is it a lot? Yes. Do teams do that, though? Yes.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's common practice these days. But it doesn't matter. Like, okay, so the point is, if they complain about it, it doesn't take the win back.
No.
So, I mean, I guess that's just how I've been raised with the game. It's like you play it, and it is what it is.
Yeah.
But this is now coming down to the Knicks, in my opinion, are running out of gas.
And they're hurt as fuck.
Well, that's the thing. OG Anunoby being out definitely really hurt their chances in Game 3.
Robinson having ankle surgery.
Yeah, that definitely is not good. Jalen Brunson is playing with a hurt foot.
Yeah. Do we even know what that is? I know he heard it in what was it, Game 2?
Game 2.
He heard it in Game 2, and he said he was going to be fine for Game 3, and clearly he was at least good enough to go. But have they said what it is?
No, they just kind of said it was a sore foot. That was kind of the extension. But they played so many minutes. Even though I will say this, I love Josh Hart's quote about this.
Uh-huh.
And I'm paraphrasing.
Okay.
Because he was asked about he's played every minute of every game. He goes, yeah, and there's people that go do 4 12-hour shifts for their actual jobs. We're talking a basketball game.
Yeah.
I'm fine.
Yeah, he ain't wrong.
No, he's not wrong. And I love that he actually said that, too. Because he's like, yeah, he goes, I play a game. Like, there's...
Yeah.
And he has the right mentality for it, but albeit, though, what the Villanova Knicks need to do is get somebody else to really step up and help them.
Yeah.
OG was that answer, but he's now not there.
Mm-hmm.
So it comes a question of they need one more body to give them some help.
Which I think has been something they've needed all year, but just they haven't been able to find that piece.
Right.
And get them there. They've got a great core and they've got a great group there as is, but ultimately you need, like, and you can see this with any sport, baseball especially, that one or two guys who can come off the bench when needed and provide a spark. That you don't hear from that often. You don't see from that often. You look at their stats from that regular season and go, it's not the greatest season. But then if you're a fan of that team and you remember, oh my God, that guy had a phenomenal postseason run and was really a difference maker for us in that one series.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's the one thing that they're sorely lacking. You can say it's because Julius Randle's gone. You could make that argument.
Sure, but he was garbage in last year's playoffs.
Well, that's the whole thing, too. I know a lot of Knicks fans are saying, well, if he was in the lineup. Let me just remind everybody.
Did we forget last season?
Well, I'm going to say last season, but let me remind everybody as well, too. Everybody was ready to trade him at the beginning of the season.
And run him out of town.
And literally run him out of New York. Yeah. Everybody was saying that until they went on that win streak right around Christmas. Then all of a sudden, whoa, he's indisposable. Or indispensable, I'm sorry. That being said, you can't sit there and use that argument.
Looked up his stats from last year's postseason. In 10 games played, he averaged 16.6 points a game, 8.3 rebounds a game, and 3.6 assists per game.
Yeah.
His field goal percentage was 37.4%. His 3-point percentage was 25.8%, 70.9 free throw percent, and that's not good.
No, it's not. So
from now. Admittedly, well, I don't think Brunson was there yet, right?
Mm-hmm.
Brunson was not there yet, so Julius Randle is your guy.
Well, he was there last season.
Oh, Brunson was there last. Okay,
yeah.
But still, you look at it as a 1A, 1B type of thing. If you're telling me going into the, let's just say the Bulls run in '96, and you can pick and choose whoever you want in this statistic, in this example. If you were to sit there and say either Michael Jordan or let's just say Scottie Pippen back in the Bulls run gave you that stat line for a playoffs run, especially when they were running through their three-peats, there's no chance in hell they're winning a series with that.
Yeah. No, that's the whole thing there. So you can't use that argument.
Right.
I know people like to, but
Sure.
But this is a situation that Brunson's doing everything by himself. Like I say, being in his second year with the team.
Yeah.
He's literally laying it all on the court. But he needs somebody else to give him a hand. I don't know if the Knicks have that right now.
Unless somebody pulls like a Jeremy Lin type of moment in the playoffs, I don't see it.
Well,
I mean, listen, could they win this series? Sure. At the end of the day, any given Sunday, quote unquote, anybody could win. But ultimately, nobody's running through Boston.
Well, that's the whole thing. So for right now, they're doing what they can do. And at least for them in their favor, so to speak, Tyrese Halliburton's day-to-day.
Uh-huh.
He's not played 100%.
Right.
Albeit, though, they came out in front of that crowd on Game 4, and they definitely wanted to make a statement when they did.
Sure.
They I don't want to say it was a fluke game because that's not proper.
Sure.
I want to say they literally came in there and they wanted to make a statement. They did not miss a shot, it seemed like, for the first two quarters.
Sure.
I don't think they're going to be having that luxury again.
Well, I think you got to look at it going into Game 4, coming out of Game 2 and 3. Game 2, the gripes and moans with the officiating and the 78 calls and the 78 plays or whatever it was, and then the Pacers pull off a win in Game 3, and it's like, well, of course,
Well, it was a Hail Mary shot too, though.
Right, but you look at what the media was portraying it, and the fans are portraying it as well. Of course, they're going to steal one, and this isn't people making excuses. This is them just listing off the reasons why, the Knicks law. It was the narrative was the Knicks lost and not the Pacers won. It was Jalen Brunson's hurt and they're down all these players through injury. Mitchell Robinson's out and this and that and blah blah blah, and they're all hurt and they're banged up and blah blah. It wasn't about anything the Pacers did to maybe contain the Knicks or keep the score close, maybe a key defensive rebound somewhere along the line. So I think they came in with a rather large chip on their shoulder.
Oh yeah, and definitely showed. I mean, Siakam and Nesmith definitely looked good, and I think they allowed something to go with.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that being said, Game 5 is tonight, as we talked about, and it's a must-win. I think for either team, this is now turned into a must-win because
Game 5 in Madison Square Garden. Currently, Knicks by 1.5.
Yeah, it's going to be a close game. I would say Dante DiVincenzo is going to hit a game-winning shot.
Ooh.
I'll say this. I do like the Knicks in this one. This is going to go 7.
Probably.
It's going to give me very, very big heart issues. But I'm still saying the Knicks are going to win this, but I ultimately agree. Like, I think their Cinderella story is great.
Yeah. They're not getting the finals.
They're not going to get past Boston.
Boston's off night.
I'm a realist about this.
Oh, I think most people are, and if you're not, you need to seriously check yourself before you wreck yourself. Listen, Boston had an off night, and I use off night with air quotes, Game 2 against Cleveland, where they lost 118 to 94. But you look at the stats, and it's just like, okay, Boston didn't have an issue scoring. They had 41.3% field goal percentage, 22.9 3-point percentage, and a free throw percentage of 83.3. That's not bad. That's actually, they're 33 or 80 from the field. Comparison's sake, Cleveland was 47 to 86 from the floor.
Yeah.
But the thing of it is, Cleveland started making threes like they were having a going out of business sale. They went 13 of 28 from the 3-point line.
Yeah.
That's an off night for Boston, and even that's not a real off night.
No, it's definitely not.
So even if the Knicks scrape it to Game 7, which I agree with you, I can see this going 7, and I can see the Knicks squeaking this out, and I'm talking like single-digit score, like 3-4 point win in Game 7. It might go 5 in Boston. It's not going 7. I can tell you that.
I'd be shocked if it went 7. But like I say, we'll have to wait to see what happens. You never know if Boston's going to get bit by the injury bug too.
That's true.
But for right now, I mean, the playoffs are definitely making a lot of noise. Hit us up on that hashtag ODPH pod. What is your take on the current state of the NBA playoffs? You have a team in there? How's it doing? Do you think the Knicks are going to pull it off? Are they going to pull the big miracle? Is it orange and blue skies? Or is unfortunately not going to happen this season? Let's have that discussion, shall we, though? But first, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back.
Do you like comic books?
What about movies and TV shows?
Well, we may be the show for you.
We're Hops Geek News, a weekly podcast that discusses comics, movies, and TV shows while featuring a beer of the week.
Every week, we chat about what we messed up on the week before, and then we dive into what we're reading and watching, as well as some news.
We then wrap it up with a geek-themed topic of the week.
You can find us anywhere you listen to podcasts by searching Hops Geek News.
Cheers.
Coming back for another segment on this edition of the ODPH podcast, and we did say it was a fusion episode. If you're new to the show, that means we're talking everything in sports and entertainment. And there is a big segment that we wanted to talk about because obviously, as we alluded to, there was a little technical difficulties last week. And that is, we have to talk about the penultimate episode of arguably TV's biggest show right now. And it's hard-pressed to say it's otherwise because honestly, when this show was announced to be returning, I don't think anybody had any idea it was going to be this big.
I don't think so. No, and especially with just like you think of traditional cable at this point, most of the stuff is off air going into summer programming and whatnot. So there's not a whole lot on right now that's like making news and shocking audiences.
Right.
Quite in the same way this is.
No, definitely not. So we have to talk about one of the strongest episodes they've had this season. And one that definitely had the internet buzzing for all the right reasons. But if you've been listening to the ODPH for a while, first and foremost, thank you so much. You had an idea this was coming. So, Pad, what are we going to be talking about?
We were talking about episode 9 from season 1 of X-Men 97, which of course is the continuation of the classic animated television show from Fox TV way back in the early 90s, 92 to 97 specifically. And the 9th episode is titled Tolerance is Extinction Part 2.
Now, if you're new to the show, once again, thank you so much for checking us out. Drop us a review on your favorite podcatcher. What we'd like to do is give you a spoiler-free statement about what we're going to be talking about. Then we're going to put a countdown in, and in the liner notes, Pat always puts when we go into spoiler talk so we don't ruin anything for you. At that moment, you have a choice to make. Either you can pause the episode and go watch and then catch up with us and go deep diving with us, or you just say, hey, I've already seen the episode, I'm going to stick with you, and let's hear your theories about what we're going to be talking about. But like we say, after that countdown, it's fair game, so you've been considered warned. That being said, Pat, give me your spoiler-free statement on Tolerance is Extinction Part 2.
One of the best episodes they've done this season, and I don't want to say the best because we still got one more to go, but this episode from start to finish was absolutely incredible, and kudos to everyone involved from production, from the top all the way to the bottom of the pecking order in terms of production, because, my God, this was just chef's kiss perfection.
Second favorite episode of the season.
Okay.
I still say Remember It is number 1, but man, this gave a great run for the money. This did everything it was supposed to do, combining some great stories from X-Men's past and merged them in a great new way. There is a lot that was happening here, especially one moment that I thought maybe we're going to get in the finale, but when they decided to tip their hat a little bit, I was like, we're going to get it right now. And boy, do I have some theories about what we're going to be doing for that finale, which is going to be one that if you are on social media and you haven't seen, I advise you right now, stay off social media until you watch it on Wednesday.
Mm-hmm.
But that being said, Pad, in 3, 2, 1, talk to me.
Holy shit, this episode was nuts. And it did not take long for spoilers to get out there, unfortunately, for some folks who may or may not have been spoiled. But this episode was incredible. The storytelling, the action, the cliffhanger. Because like I said going into last week, I knew we were going to get left with a cliffhanger because, hey, that's the typical thing shows like to do these days when it comes to second to last episodes. It's always nuts. It's always crazy. There's always like an oh my God moment. Case in point, Game of Thrones for all of those seasons. But wow, did they ever leave us with a cliffhanger. And I genuinely have no idea what's going to happen with the final episode. I've got some ideas. I've got some theories. But as they've shown with this season, take your theories and take your thoughts on what you think is going to happen and throw them out the window because you have no idea.
Well, I called it.
Well, you did.
I had that feeling that they were going to go there. And boy, did they go there, to the shock of many of the pop culture audience. I don't want to say that this was the Negan-Glenn moment.
It was, though.
It's close because they did something here that I did not think they were going to do. I was sitting there going like, maybe they are. Now I'm fully convinced where we're going in that season finale. I am. You can't tell me otherwise. And boy, is that going to raise a lot of eyebrows. They took the metal out of Wolverine's skeleton.
Uh-huh.
Oh, man, did that ever just make me tear up a little bit? Just because if you have read those X-Men comics from the 90s and you remember that moment and how absolutely insane that scenario was in Fatal Attractions.
Yeah.
It literally was like, there's no way they're going to do it on TV. And sure enough, here we are.
Yeah.
Because boy, did they waste no time getting into it. And the finale is even going to have more people going like, oh my God, and just be freaking out. Because where we are is Magneto has now officially reverted back to his evil ways.
Uh-huh.
Charles Xavier is back on Earth after being in the Shi'ar universe for quite some time.
Yep.
Because he knew his X-Men were in big trouble.
He got a vision.
And boy, did he ever come running, as he should do.
Yeah.
Because Bastion, the combination of Nimrod and the Master Mold, basically an ultimate sentinel who is mixed with a human, has now almost conquered the world. Almost.
Yep. He's probably, 3/4 of the way there?
He was about 3/4 of the way there and took down Magneto. Operation Zero Tolerance was in full swing. His sleeper cells of human Sentinels were running crazy.
When the hell that happened, we have no idea.
Well, he's been saying it for a while.
Oh, sure.
Like I say, how they did in the comics, too, this was like almost perfect to page.
Okay.
But they did not factor in one master of magnetism.
Mm-hmm.
And once the very polarizing leader of the X-Men at said time is freed by Dr. Val Cooper, he decides to take matters into his own hands and proving once and for all to any doubters Magneto was right.
Yeah. Might be a slimy POS at points, but he's got a point.
He's ultimately Marvel's greatest villain.
Yeah.
Because you can completely sympathize with what he's doing and why he's doing it.
Yeah, I can understand it.
When you can have that kind of connection with fans, it's tough to root against.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to lie.
He gave the other side a try.
Yeah.
He genuinely walked on the other, the saying grass is always greener on the other side. Well, he walked on that other side. He saw a little bit of the green grass, but then he kept taking a few more steps and the grass went right back to dead and brown.
Mm-hmm. But this is what has made him such a captivating character since the 1960s.
Mm-hmm.
He has this capability to do good, and he wants good, but he knows that it will never happen.
Yep.
He is the realist to Charles Xavier's dream.
Incredibly jaded.
Mm-hmm. But rightfully so, completely justified.
Yeah.
So you know what? No argument here.
Yeah.
So to take down Bastion, he takes matters into his own hands. He unleashes an electromagnetic pulse that shuts down the world because he is an Omega level mutant too, in case if anybody's questioning. So doing this, he takes care of all the Prime Sentinels.
Mm-hmm.
But what this means to the X-Men is he's declared war on humanity.
If you're a human, you're public enemy number one, or mutant enemy number one, I guess I should say.
Mm-hmm.
If you're a mutant, hey, for now, you're fine.
Yeah, but
Keyword for now.
But this is where he has done this in the comics, and especially he did this during Fatal Attractions.
Yeah.
X-Men 25, which we'll be talking about in Nerd Initiative's Turn a Page. You can check it out on YouTube, wherever you check out your streaming services. That being said, sorry, I know it's a mouthful, but I get very amped up talking about this. We jump right into this episode. And Xavier comes back, and obviously everybody on the X-Men has a little bit of hesitation.
Mm-hmm. Even the president of the United States has hesitation because when Xavier comes back, I don't think he meets with him in person. I think he meets with him telepathically. And the president's like, listen, I'm not real sure about this. And Xavier basically, and I'm paraphrasing, says to the president, listen, Mr. President, we've been here before. We've always come out on top. Trust us again.
Mm-hmm. But they're basically saying you left. Magneto is not the same one that we've had to deal with.
Uh-huh.
And
things are worse off than when you left.
Mm-hmm. So how do you want us to trust it? And Xavier still is having the belief in his dream of a peaceful co-humanity. Or coexistence between humanity and mutants. It's wishful thinking at this stage, but I don't think that he realizes that Magneto went to that level.
No, probably not.
No. So during this, he rebuilds his base of operation, Asteroid M.
Mm-hmm.
And he basically says, well, the world can do whatever they want. I'm going into space.
Yep.
And he does give the offer to the X-Men. Like, he does come back down and meets them.
Yep.
And says, look, you see what happened?
Uh-huh.
I hate to say I told you so, but I told you so.
We tried it Charles's way. Look where it got us.
Yeah. So I'm going up to space.
Mm-hmm.
Who's coming with me?
Uh-huh.
And surprisingly...
Well, is it surprisingly?
It is and it isn't.
For me, it wasn't.
Well, it makes sense, but if you know the story that this was based around...
Sure.
Is a slight bit surprising.
Okay.
Because he has not one but two defectors from the X-Men.
Yeah.
One is Rogue, who makes a lot of sense because of the grief she's dealing with Gambit.
Mm-hmm.
So still very, very complicated situation there. But
yep.
She takes off.
Yep.
The other one is a bit of a surprise.
Well.
And who is that, Pat?
Roberto.
Yeah, Sunspot.
Yeah. That neither of these was really a surprise for me. I mean, Rogue made sense. She's lost Gambit. She has feelings for Magneto. She's very jaded right now. Case in point, what happened, I think it was 2 episodes ago, where she dropped the dude off the roof of the building. Roberto didn't surprise me either, just because he's been kind of laying low and trying to figure out what he wants to do with this newfound life he's got of being a mutant, and how is he going to go about it, and are his parents going to accept him? And then he was willing to, he opened up and he made friends with Jubilee, but then he went back to his parents. It was like, hey, mom, dad, I'm a mutant, blah, blah, blah. And they were like, yeah, no, they turned on him.
Yeah.
So in essence, now all he really has is Jubilee, somebody he barely knows. They've maybe known each other for a couple of weeks, if that, so he's got nobody essentially. So it's like, okay, what's the worst that could happen?
Well, the thing here with him is they really, I think if there's one thing I'll critique about this series,
Sure.
I don't really think they fleshed his character out too much.
No.
So for him going, it's kind of like when they did in The Walking Dead about how they swapped Carl with Henry.
Oh, yeah.
And we're supposed to care, but we just didn't.
Yeah.
This kind of same vibe I got. Because obviously with Magneto bringing Asteroid M basically down and to fly over the mansion, he's basically said, like, listen, I'm going to give you new Genosha. Who's coming with me? The Rogue makes sense because in the comics, this was Colossus. Because Colossus lost his sister to the legacy virus and was very, very anti-Xavier and the Dream. Might have to say it had something to do with, I believe he was recovering from some fight too.
Sure.
So he was not 100%. But nevertheless, this is still impactful because Rogue leaves. But Rogue has been sitting there just blaming Charles for leaving and basically saying, because you left, look what happened. It's your fault.
Yeah.
Rogue has been very, very polarizing this entire series. And I like how she's been written too, because she has not been somebody that is just, you can figure out.
Yeah.
I would say predictable. She hasn't been anything but.
She's got more to her than, oh, shucks, I can't touch anybody.
Yeah.
I can't kiss anybody.
Yeah.
There's more to her.
So to see her now take off with the new acolytes is a really fun dynamic.
Yeah.
Because at this point, we have to go to Muir Island because the Xavier's mansion is gone. Completely trashed.
Yep.
There is a fun moment here with one Cable and Cyclops.
Yep.
Where Cable gets his X-Men uniform. The one from the Ian Churchill days, I believe, of the comics. And like I say, I marked out when I saw this. Except the comment was made about were you expecting black leather?
Well, yeah, he says, well, what is this? And Cyclops looks at him and goes, well, what were you expecting? Black leather, which is a callback to the original X-Men movie in, what was it, 2000?
Yep.
Where Wolverine said something about it and said something about the black leather costume, to which Cyclops said, well, what were you expecting? Yellow spandex?
Yeah. It's a great line.
Fun callback.
Yeah, it definitely is. So at this moment, Xavier, like I say, makes his final pitch, what he's going to try doing, and more or less says, okay, we're going to split up
into two teams.
One's going after Bastion. The other one is going after Magneto.
Asteroid M. Yeah. And I love the team names. Blue team and gold team.
And why is that, Pat?
X-Men blue and X-Men gold.
Yep. Throwing it back to the initial reset.
Love that.
Yeah. So definitely very cool to see how you had these teams formed.
Yeah.
And the lineups, too, were very interesting as well.
Yeah.
Because, like I say, Team Gold, I think, was the stronger one.
Yeah.
To go with, because it was Jean, Storm, Forge, Cable, and Beast.
Well, I mean, given what they're walking into, potentially, that's definitely where, on paper, strategically, you would want the heavy hitters.
Yeah, I mean, it does. Well, you know what? I was kind of split on this, but it does make sense.
Yeah.
Just the only thing that I was seeing there as a strategist about this.
Sure.
What can I say? I do too much RPG stuff here. I was like, you really loaded up on telepaths with Jean and Cable here.
Yep.
And even though Beast and Morph are solid, you have two very big heavy hitters with Storm and Forge. If you're really making the run to take down Magneto, I think maybe it would have been wiser to have moved somebody off that team to give to Blue.
Well, I think ultimately at the end of the day, even though I'm not 100% sure if they said this, Xavier's plan for Magneto was to capture and contain.
Yeah.
Because there's still that friendship, there's still that bond, there's still that hope of, I can still save him, I can still turn him back to the light, to borrow from Star Wars. So I don't think he was going to Asteroid M with the intent to kill or to,
Well, he was never going to kill, but yeah.
right, but to put in permanent end to him. So it's like, okay, I don't need to go into this with overkill. I need to go in with just enough to capture it, to subdue him, and take him off the table, off the board, and then we can focus on this. Whereas with the other team, we're going in to face Bastion. There's no good that can be kept from keeping him alive. Like, they need to take him down to a permanent end. So that's where you looking at it again strategically. We don't need to take Magneto out permanently. We just need to take him off the board and get this all sorted. Bastion, we need to take him off the board and take him into an end permanently.
See, that's where I would have switched out Cable and Wolverine.
Okay.
See, that would have been the only one, because if you're going on that kind of mission,
Sure.
Wolverine's the best at what he does for a reason.
Yeah, that's true.
So I would have done that. But listen, I'm not mad about it. We did get this great fight sequence where Morph actually transforms into the Hulk.
Yo, that was awesome.
Yeah, that was a great little moment here as they're trying to make their way into Bastion Station, because they have a nullifying collar that will stop his powers of controlling over machines. So it's a very cool idea that they're trying to do with Forge there too.
His technopathy.
Yes, thank you. I always forget that word, but like I say, it is a comics reasons, if you will. But meanwhile, while they're on the ground fighting, the rest of the team, Storm and Forge, are in the air taking out everything.
Yep.
It's great seeing Storm back in action. Just recently named an Avenger too.
Yeah.
In the comics.
Storm had a nice reconnect with Jean.
Yes.
Nice to see.
Loved that moment too.
I like to also think off screen when they were getting ready to leave, she had a conversation with the team. She's like, what the fuck happened?
Yeah.
I left and all these people are here. I come back and it's like you're in tatters.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would love to. There's got to be a bonus scene about that.
Yeah.
I would just like to say just an off the cuff, just rendition. Give me 5 minutes of that. Just even if the voice actor's doing it, I'm good with that. But as they're doing this, the rest of the team is heading to Asteroid M. And they are fighting Magneto, Rogue, and Roberto. So it's Jubilee, Wolverine, Cyclops, and Professor X.
Yep.
So you are seeing some great standoff. I love how Jubilee is actually taking care of Roberto here, because he is completely not ready for what he's in. That's why I said that was the only negative thing I have about this episode is him.
Sure.
Just because I don't think he was written well this season.
Yeah.
But while this is going on, you still are having that classic face-off with Charles Xavier and Magneto. And you are seeing Magneto is just like, listen, we've been here so many times. He winds up actually restraining Charles Xavier.
While Charles is mid-monologue.
Yes. And what does he tell him to do?
Charles, for the love of God, can you do one thing? Shut up.
I marked out for that.
I did too.
I'm sorry. That was perfect. I love how Magneto has been written this season. Just absolutely brilliantly. So during this, it comes down, Charles is trying to direct traffic, basically get Magneto's helmet off him so we can go fix things. So they're having this great standoff. The action's really taking off, and they're really having this great back and forth. On Earth, you're still having the same thing happening. Mr. Sinister has now emerged, making Jean Grey the point of attack, and things are not exactly going well there.
Really taking her off her footing, saying, listen, I know when you got replaced. I know where your memories start and hers end.
Yeah. It's a wild scene.
But
it's one that works to build up the drama between them.
$10 says he's lying.
Oh, of course. Sinister is just, like I say, just charismatically, creepy. But he does stuff like this and it works. All the while, Morph transforms into Mr. Sinister, does the thing to sneak into Bastion's base. And completely fails because he sounds too human. So Bastion takes him off the board along with Beast. The collar is destroyed. And you are seeing the Sinister has now gotten a hold of Cable too. So that is a really interesting play that they do.
Did not see that coming.
No, it definitely didn't, because to my knowledge, there has been run-ins with Cable and Sinister.
Sure.
But it's been very few and far between, ironically.
Sure.
But like I say, I might have to do a little more deep dive about that. I just don't remember them bumping into each other too much. So to see him be used as a weapon here, I think that's kind of an interesting play. Jean is getting overwhelmed. She sends a message out to Scott.
She brings him there telepathically.
Yeah, and literally says her goodbyes, loves him, and Scott is telling Xavier, like, hey, where they need more time. Like
we need to give Gold Team more time.
Yeah, like we can't do this. So all the while, Magneto's helmet's off. Charles does put the pulse into Magneto, so he does send him a force blast.
Except Cyclops stops him.
Yeah, which I was puzzled by that. Like
I don't think he knows the ultimate outcome of Jean.
Yeah,
and that's his number one priority, despite everything that's going on at the moment. And he must think there's some semblance of Jean surviving because of everything she's gone through and everything in her past and with her history. That for some reason he thinks if we take out Magneto, they can't survive.
Yeah. But Magneto winds up fighting back and actually stops this.
Yeah.
And more or less is now saying, like, he's fully committed to taking out Xavier. And he's torturing.
Because he's like almost crushing his skull in with the helmet.
Yeah, he puts his own helmet on Xavier so he can't use his powers and is like literally just destroying him.
Yep.
At this moment, Wolverine goes and slashes him.
Shows up for the first time in the fight.
Yeah, he's been kind of lurking around, taking care of everything else off screen. He winds up actually hitting with the 3 claws right in the gut,
impaling him.
Yes. So it's presumed Magneto is dead at this moment.
Seems like a fatality.
Yes. But as anything in the Marvel cinematic universe or animated universe has told us, go for the head.
Yeah.
Because Magneto survives this. And
well, first Wolverine says something to him, and I forget what exactly it is, but it's like, oh, those who are first to die are always the ones who
are the bravest, or always the first to die.
The bravest are the first to die. And then Magneto looks at him or says to him something about, let's finally put an end to this feud between us.
Yeah, he's like, enough is enough.
Yeah.
And at this moment,
the claws sink back in.
Yep. And you start seeing the skin rip apart and the adamantium flies out of Wolverine's skin.
All the meanwhile, Xavier is there pleading with Magneto, saying, Magnus, for the love of God, please don't do this.
Mm-hmm. And literally that's how they end the episode.
Yep.
I sat there, I was like,
oh God, they did it.
They did that. They went there. I mean, for anybody that was questioning about how far they're willing to go, this series has taught us that they're not afraid to go that extra mile and really establish what I knew was going to come down to.
Right.
Is Magneto is the ultimate villain here. Bastion, they're going to find a way to get rid of. Because,
sure.
Like I say, you still have, even though Storm and Forge are not there, Forge is going to get involved some way, somehow.
Probably.
So you're going to see that all play out. But at the end of the day, it's always Magneto. And this is where, in the comics, this is going to play out just as it did. And I guess we can say this is a spoiler. That season finale, Magneto's getting mind wiped.
Probably.
He is going to get one of the craziest psionic attacks you've ever seen in your life. He will never be the same. And it's going to absolutely freak a lot of people out.
I think they're going to lead off with this, but not like an immediate after the credits or intro finishes. I think it's going to be like a build-up, like you see more of the adamantium getting ripped out of Wolverine, and then like kind of maybe a pause for a couple seconds or a minute of just like the shock of what happened. Then you're going to get it. Because it's going to be a pause of, oh my God, is he about to do it? Are they really about to go here and fully open the envelope?
Yeah, because I think you're going to see the rage pour out of Xavier. Like he's like Cyclops is going to blast that helmet off him, or somebody's going to take it off him.
Yeah.
Whether it's Nightcrawler, who's still there as well.
Yep.
You're going to see something happen.
Yeah.
And he's going to unload on Magneto like you've never seen. And people are going to get freaked out because I fully think Rogue, of all people, is going to be sitting there holding
I think so.
Magneto's lifeless body.
Could be.
And going like, basically like, you did this, like, look what you did. And they're going to wind up going back to Earth, stopping Bastion. But this is going to plant the seeds for Onslaught. I never thought we were going to do this. I really did not. I am fully banking we're going to have Onslaught.
Absolutely.
The only thing that I was going to say we might have instead is the Siege Perilous. And this is how they wind up going to Australia. If you haven't read the X-Men from the late 80s, early 90s, we just say, pad one word, reasons. But there's a whole scenario that plays out here. Because when the adversary showed up, I thought maybe we're going to see this. That whole finale, they're going to take out Bastion.
Yeah.
That team is going to be fractured
Yeah.
beyond all comprehension.
Yep.
I'm not doubting that the bonus scene will be Apocalypse raising Gambit from the dead and making him his fourth horseman.
Maybe.
Maybe.
I mean, if they want to bring Gambit back, there's no other way to do it just because they established in whatever episode it was that you can't go back in time and change it, because every time Cable tried to change what happened to Genosha, he kept getting pulled away. So every time Gambit died. So if they want to bring him back, Apocalypse is seemingly the only way they can do it, because Krakoa is not a thing in this universe right now. Mm-hmm. So the whole resurrection method they use on Krakoa is not an option. So this is about it.
Yeah, that's the only option they can do. I mean, unless they did something really left field. And I mean, Pat, I'm talking real left field, like Age of Apocalypse left field. And take out Xavier way back in the past, or Magneto way back in the past. Like something on that level, they could do something. But I think overall, they really made sure to drop an exclamation point on this.
Yeah.
I am very curious to see where we go from here. I mean, Pat, final thoughts on this, predictions for the finale?
Crazy episode. You cannot wait to see the finale. I think in terms of what I think is going to happen, everything we've said, but I also think there's going to be a moment where we see Magneto and we think he's going to be out of it and down for the count, but we're going to see a moment where something nearby magnetically or metal moves a little bit. So there's that little tease of like, oh, you thought Magneto was done and he was out for the count? Nah.
No, like I say, I think that means a great theory. It could happen. I am just saying for where I think we're going to go, like all signs point to Onslaught.
Right. At some point.
It's going to be messy because to say there's moving parts is an understatement. But I fully think we're going there.
Probably.
I fully think we're going to have, like I say, Apocalypse come back. Gambit will be death. Mm-hmm. And then it really sets up a team that's very fractured. I'm not doubting that we go full 90s here.
Probably.
And maybe Cable establishes X-Force on the side. I'm not doubting that we have a Generation X start getting formed, which I'd love to see on the small screen. There's just so many different routes they can go. But for where they have everything set up, it's going to be absolutely insane. We're definitely going to be talking about it on next ODPH podcast. So until then, hit us up on that hashtag ODPHpod. What is your thoughts going into the finale of X-Men 97? Let's talk about Tolerance is Extinction Part 2, and what is your predictions for Part 3? And remember, let's keep it spoiler-free on social media until then, but you can slide in those messages, and we'll definitely talk about it. So hit us up, let us know. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back.
This is Tom from Tom Joe Lou,
This is Matt from Sideroom Sounds.
and you're listening to ODPH Podcast.
Wanna go where no one knows my name, to the desert, the oceans, or the plains. 'Cause I wanna...
Coming back for the final segment on this edition of the ODPH podcast. Pat, what you got?
Got a couple things to talk about. First of which is obviously the local minute. We got to talk a little Federal Prospects Hockey League action because our Binghamton Black Bears were in the finals for the Commissioner's Cup, and after winning 3-0, they came back home Friday, May 10th, for the final game against the Carolina Thunderbirds and won by the final score of 4-3. So that means your 2024 Federal Prospects Hockey League champions are the Binghamton Black Bears.
Congratulations.
Absolutely. Bringing home a trophy for local hockey here in Binghamton, which we have not had since, 2011?
2011.
2011 was the last one when it was the Binghamton Senators winning on home turf for the first time in hockey history. I know one of the local news media tried to say that last time they did it was with the Senators. Folks, that was in Houston.
Yes, it was.
This was the first one at home, though. So, hey, congratulations to them. I know they had the parade. I know that they were supposed to be at the Rumble Ponies game going on tonight or sometime this week. But going to be really exciting next year at the home opener when they raise the banner.
Yeah, definitely a very cool moment to see. I mean, obviously, this is a very, very heavily hockey-influenced town.
Yeah, it is.
So to see that happen, definitely the crowd was excited. Sell out at the
Sell
arena.
out, 5,000 people.
Yeah, excuse me. So,
Crazy.
I mean, to see that, just an amazing moment to see, and definitely hopefully brings on many, many more cups to come.
Yeah. Then we're going to talk some baseball news because looking at the standings for the Eastern League in the AA minor league baseball, Look who's sitting in first place. They struck off.
What?
They went on an 8-game winning streak last week. So first place, the Binghamton Rumble Ponies, 18-13 records, sitting ahead of Portland, who's in second place with 17-14. They're the Boston affiliate. Third place is Hartford, the Colorado affiliate. They're at 15-15. Somerset, they're the Yankees affiliate, is in fourth place with a record of 16-16. Reading is in second to last they're the Phillies affiliate. They're with a record of 16-17. Last place is New Hampshire with a record of 13-19. They are the affiliate of the Toronto Blue Jays. And looking at the schedule they had from last year, they went on just a tear. They had the game on Tuesday where they won by the final score of 4-1. Won on Wednesday by the final score of 4-3. Won on Thursday by the final score of 5-3. Won on Friday by the final score of 9-6. Won on Saturday by the final score of 10-7, and then lost on the series finale on Sunday by the final score of 2-4. A little bit of news, though, regarding the Binghamton Rumble Ponies that was announced yesterday, and that is that the Mets, the Mets number 4 and 13th ranked prospects have been called up from Single A and are joining the Binghamton Rumble Ponies. So you've got Brandon Spratt, Sproat, who is a right-handed pitcher, and then Ryan Clifford, who is a first baseman / outfielder, joining the Binghamton Rumble Ponies coming up here. And in fact, Ryan Clifford in the starting lineup tonight as the Binghamton Rumble Ponies play.
Oh, wow.
He is batting, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th, and playing left field. So jumping right into the hot action of things and looking at their schedule they have for this week, the Rebel Ponies are at home this week. They're playing Tuesday, 6:05 p.m. Eastern. They're playing Wednesday at 11:05 a.m. Eastern. Get to all these little promotion things in a bit. Thursday, they're playing at 6:05 p.m. Eastern. Friday, they're playing at 7:05 p.m. Eastern. Saturday is 1:05 p.m. Eastern, and Sunday is also at 1:05 p.m. Eastern. Now, obviously, for promotions, Tuesday, you got 2 for Tuesdays going on. Wednesday, it's an 11:05 a.m. Eastern start because it's Baseball and Education Day. That is where, quote, school field trip day for kids to enjoy Rumble Ponies baseball. And that is where a bunch of the schools bring their kids down. It's towards the end of the year here, school year here in New York State. So a bunch of schools are going to bring their kids to some baseball, where was that when I was a kid?
Yeah.
I would have loved to go to that. Just saying. Then obviously you've got Thursdays going on, but also Thursday, May 16th, they will be playing as the Condors de Binghamton.
Yes.
They'll be breaking out the Condors de Binghamton jerseys, which are amazing. Then you've got Friday, which is We're Not in Kansas Anymore. Says put on your red shoes, click them 3 times, and head down to Marabato Stadium for We're Not in Kansas Anymore night. Help Rowdy and Ruby in their adventure to find the most powerful ruler in all the land, but be aware of the poppy seed forest. Not quite sure what's going on with this. This first they've announced this, so that'll definitely be something to check out. And then you've got the game on Saturday, which is Drew Gilbert bobblehead night, which is the first 1,000 fans in attendance will receive a limited edition Drew Gilbert bobblehead. And then also it is First Responders Day, so as a thank you to first responders, if you are a first responder and can show your ID badge at the box office, you will get 2 complimentary reserved grandstand tickets.
Let's go.
Definitely something to check out there. And then Sunday is Kids Eat Free Sunday, which is every Sunday kids eat free at the ballpark thanks to our friends at McDonald's, Mac Clark. All children 12 and under will receive a voucher for a hot dog and a small soda. And then it is Agriculture Appreciation Day. That says, come join us for Agriculture Appreciation Day at the ballpark. The Rumble Ponies will be joined by members of the Windsor's CHS, Shenango Forks High School, Cornell Cooperative, 4-H students, GHS Federal Credit Union, Soil and Water, Huggins Honey, CCE/TNY/FM, 4-H Exhibits, Markets of Broome, Master Gardeners, Taste NY, Monroe Tractor, and Russell Farms. Don't miss a special appearance by our mini ponies from 12 to 1 p.m. And then it is also Senior Stroll Sunday, which, of course, is all fans 16 and older can get a discounted ticket at the box office. And the first 30 minutes the gates are open, you can take a stroll around the warning track of the baseball diamond.
Hey.
And then it's also Kids Club Sundays. So for more tickets, information, all that good stuff, you can go to bingrp.com. And keep a lookout because they did announce this week that they're going to be playing a future date. I think it's in either June or July as the Binghamton Creatures. Of course, in tribute and homage to the Rod Sterling show.
Okay.
The what is it? The
Twilight Zone.
Twilight Zone. Yeah, so they're going to be playing as the Binghamton Creatures, and the jerseys, of course, black and white. They look really cool. So that's definitely something to check out with that. And we got to talk a little bit of NFL news because tonight, as we record, the NFL schedule will be getting released. But we've had a couple little teases, couple little tidbits of information get leaked out. Of course, first game of the season is going to be between the Kansas City Chiefs hosting the Baltimore Ravens. No surprise there. But a couple other ones that we do know. It was announced at the Fox upfronts, which of course all the networks and all the major production folks have got their upfronts going. We'll talk about more of that tomorrow on the ODPH next episode. But Fox announced that Tom Brady's first NFL game will be Week 1, where the Dallas Cowboys are taking on the Cleveland Browns. Shout out to the Cleveland Browns for the video they put together announcing this game. If you have not seen it, look it up on their social media. It's hysterical.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Just saying. Then we did find out the first Monday Night Football game of the year will be between the San Francisco 49ers and Mulligan. Let's try this shit again. Aaron Rodgers and I almost said Green Bay Packers.
Yeah.
Aaron Rodgers and the New York Jets. So
Hmm.
we'll see how this goes. Of course, joining the Monday Night Football Countdown, as was announced today, Super Bowl champion, host of, I'm guessing, the number one podcast and sports podcast and all of podcasting, Jason Kelsey.
Yep, new heights. Yep.
Jason Kelsey is joining the ESPN Monday Night Countdown. And then also announced today, near and dear to your heart, the first Thursday Night Football game will be taking place Week 2, and it will be between the Buffalo Bills against the Miami Dolphins.
I love this.
In Miami.
I love this.
Which means Miami's probably coming up for the second game later in
Yep.
the year when it's cold.
Yep.
Oh, boy.
I'm all in about
Let's
this.
get this shit started early.
Yeah. I am super excited about that because I know that the Bills even did a signing today of one.
Marquez Valdez-Scantling.
Yeah.
MVS. Yeah.
So kind of retooling the roster a little bit, but loving everything going on with this. And we'll say anytime we can start talking a little football, it's always good to talk some football.
Absolutely.
So next up, because we got a couple things to go over very quickly, UFC action this past weekend. The man, the myth, the legend, Derek Lewis.
Another soundbite for the ages.
Yeah, won in the main event
Fucking Christ.
of a fight night, defeating Rodrigo Namacento in a very impressive fashion with a knockout in the third round and soundbite galore going on with that. So
Yeah.
that was a fun one.
There were a bunch of good fights on this card. I mean, you had the light heavyweight matchup between Carlos Ulberg, who beat Alonzo Menefeld in 12 seconds.
Yes.
Holy fuck. The entrances were longer for this.
Yeah, no, this whole fight card was very, very solid. And very, like I want to say it was slept on, but I think it did not get a lot of buzz going into it.
There was a lot going on this weekend.
Yeah, so definitely worthwhile watching for Derek Lewis.
Yeah.
And next up for the UFC, they do have a fight night going on this weekend with the main event being Edwin Barbosa taking on Lerone Murphy. So that should be a fun night of fights. So definitely check it out on the UFC. I know we're long overdue to have one Megan from the Vigilante Vibes podcast come on the show. I could not get the schedule squared up for this week, but fear not, she will be on to talk some UFC with us in the very near future. So definitely watch her social media as well, too, because I know she's got a lot to say about this card. Talking NHL hockey, listen,
Hey.
I'm not ducking this. I know people are going to ask about if we didn't talk about some Rangers hockey. Jumping out to a 3-0 lead against the Carolina Hurricanes, they have decided to think they're in the offseason already and lost a ugly Game 5 because Carolina did wind up winning Game 4, fighting off elimination, winning 4-3 at their own home ice. Coming back to the Madison Square Garden, though, and I don't know what the hell this Ranger team did. This was absurd. This was a travesty. This was god-awful.
What was it? Not the last game, but the one prior was heartbreaking. For
Yes.
sure. This last one on Monday night was like Bane picking up Batman and breaking our back over his knee.
Yeah.
That was like they broke us and made us humble.
This was
Good Lord.
This was, you knew it was going to be a bad night when Trouba was the one that got the breakaway goal,
Yeah.
and that was it. The rest of the offense, and listen, nothing against Trouba, but let's be honest, he's
Yeah.
not Panarin,
Yeah.
he's not Mika.
Also, can Mika fucking do anything in this series, please?
Good Lord, man,
Holy
he decided to go
shit.
ice cold at the worst possible time.
Uh-huh.
I will say though, I know PK Subban said something along the same lines, and you know what? It made some sense. I'm going to paraphrase a little bit. The Rangers needed a little bit of something to get them motivated.
Sure.
Because they've been coasting in this postseason. They
Kinda,
look
yeah.
great. Well, they won 7 in a row to start.
Yeah.
This is where they need to see what they're made of. They needed to be tested. Carolina was that team. Carolina is doing a lot of the same stuff they did last year. So for this Rangers team, they need to bounce back. They're going to be at Carolina on Thursday night. That's going to be a tough game, and that crowd is going to be ready for them. So if the Rangers are really contenders, like, they need to win this one. I don't want this going to Game 7.
No.
If this goes to Game 7, I don't care if it's back in the Garden. I'm this off. They can obviously get ready for what appears to be a surprise opponent in the next round.
Holy shit, yeah, because Florida's smacking Boston in the mouth.
Yeah.
Fuck. Boston came in, won game 1, 5-1, but then proceeded to lose game 2 and 3, 6-1 and 6-2, and then lost game 4, 3-2. Good God.
Yeah, so this would be a very, very tough challenge for the Rangers, but they have to get through Carolina first. They need to show up, so Blue Shirt Nation, stand the puck up. It is time to go, and it's time to play now.
Mm-hmm.
But let's end on a happy note. We'll talk a little pro wrestling on the way out the door.
Yeah.
Pat, what you got?
I got to talk a little King and Queen of the Ring because this one fucking snuck up on me. I knew it was coming. Did not realize how quickly it was coming until they mentioned on Monday Night Raw last night that it's next Saturday. Good Lord. So looking at the card we've got thus far, of course, 2 of the matches we don't know yet because it is going to be the men's King of the Ring tournament final, which the current participants we have or we know of are from the Monday Night Raw side in the final or semifinals. It is Gunther who's going to be taking on main event Jey Uso. That will be on next week's episode of Monday Night Raw. Have not figured out who's in the semifinals of the SmackDown side because, well, it hasn't happened yet, but we do know the quarterfinalists. Randy Orton is taking on Carmelo Hayes, and then Tama Tonga is taking on L.A. Knight.
Yeah.
So I'm laying odds it'll probably be Randy, and then it'll be Tama Tonga because reasons. And then so that'll put us, and then we'll have the finals at the pay-per-view next weekend. And then obviously you've got the Queen of the Ring tournament final is the other match. We do not know the setup yet because hey, it hasn't happened yet. Again, we know the Raw semifinalists. That will be Io Sky taking on Lyra Valkyria next week on Monday Night Raw. Again, do not know the SmackDown semifinalists because, well, hasn't happened yet. But the quarterfinalists are Nia Jax taking on Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair taking on Tiffany Stratton.
Yes.
So those should be phenomenal matchups.
They're going to be great matches.
But then the other matchups we do know taking place at the pay-per-view King and Queen of the Ring. In a singles match for the Women's World Championship, Becky Lynch is defending her belt against Liv Morgan. In a triple threat match for the Intercontinental Championship, you have Sami Zayn defending his belt against Chad Gable and Bronson Reed. And then in a champion versus champion match, Cody Rhodes is putting up his undisputed WWE Championship against Logan Paul and his United States Championship. This is very interesting.
That's a very interesting play.
I like it.
Could Logan Paul walk out with both belts?
I mean, in theory and on paper, sure. Will it actually happen though? No.
Yeah, it would be kind of shocking to see. But
I'm expecting some sort of shenanigans.
It will be some shenanigans, but this is going to be a fun card. I think for the tourney being the main storyline, like they do have some very solid undercard matches as well too. So, and I'm not down Chad Gable wins his belt there. I'm just going to put that out there right now.
Could be.
A lot of cool things happening in WWE right now, and even the cap off too. It was announced where WrestleMania is going to be at next year.
Yeah.
They're going Viva Las Vegas. April 19th and 20th at Allegiant Stadium.
Yeah.
So 4/20 and Easter Sunday.
I do like what Corey Graves said to Pat McAfee after this got announced. Because for those of you who don't know, Pat McAfee likes to partake on 420 festivities. But when the news was announced about WrestleMania being in Las Vegas, Pat McAfee said, quote, 420 in Vegas, let's go. To which Corey Graves said, and I quote, I'll pack a shovel so I can scrape your ass off the sidewalk to come to work Sunday.
Well played, Corey. Well played. So it'll be an exciting time. I know that fans are already talking about it. Minnesota did not get the bid, but listen, it's Vegas.
I also heard the infrastructure for just getting to the stadium is not exactly ideal.
Yeah.
So there's a whole host of reasons.
There's a whole host of reasons, but Minnesota does have a great stadium. So
yeah, they do.
I'm sure that they will get a big primetime card out there. Just unfortunately, it's not WrestleMania. That's going to Vegas. Yeah. And then we'll see where they go the following year because, anything is possible in this new world of the WWE. If you're looking for even more pro wrestling talk, Wrestling Night Live every Thursday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Nerd Initiative YouTube. That being said, for anything and everything that is the ODPH, you can find it at odphpodcast.com. That's it for this week. So for the one and only Padawan J.
Fuck the Astros.
I'm your host, Ken. Thank you as always for listening to the ODPH podcast, better known as the Ocho Duro Parlay Hour. We'll see you next time.
It's such waste of time, swiping left and swiping right on people you could know. 'Cause anyone who's worth a damn be worth way more than a picture could ever show. You could find the right light, find the right angle, and never find your soul. And it can feel like a losing battle, and this plot is full of holes. This modern way of finding love just makes me feel so alone. And I can't be the only one sick of staring at my phone. So look up, talk to me, a better way to spend our energy. Just look up, talk to me. We don't have to float alone on the open sea. Don't know that I believe in the old time fable. Everyone has just one true love. All I know is you're across this table, and you're all I'm thinking of. So look up, talk to me, a better way to spend our energy. Just look up, talk to me. We don't have to float alone on the open sea. Talk to me. Talk to me. It's such waste of time, swiping left and swiping right on people you could know.